So now, without further ado, let us begin third session under the big title, Food Engineering. As we did before, we will have two excellent presenters at this session. Please join me in welcoming our first presenter, who will be Ms. Christine Lewington, who will be delivering a presentation on revolutionizing agriculture and agri-tech with plant proteins. And she came all the way from Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome her with a big round of applause.
First, I'd like to say thank you very much for inviting me to your lovely country. I've never been here before. And I'd like to start off by saying thank you to Honorable Minister Jung, Minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, Honorable CEO Jung Kim of FOODPOLIS, and Honorable Jun, Mayor of Iksan City. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, congratulations. This is a great event. I see a lot of events, and this one is very well put on. And I just want to say thank you for inviting me. It's already been exciting to be here for a few days. So let's get started here since we're running behind. My company is PIP International, and we believe we are revolutionizing agriculture through technology. And since there's so much talk about technology, let's get started. In Canada, we have a lot of technology, and we have Lars is here from Denmark, and we've already been talking about how we're working with Denmark. And we want to talk about how that ecosystem in plant proteins is going to affect it. So Canada is a global leader in agriculture, basically because we have a lot of land and a few people. We're diverse, and we're growing our plant-based protein ecosystem because we grow crops really, really well, but we just sell them. We don't do anything with them. And so we're focusing on trying to add value and create more of the plant-based value add there. So forecasters predict that by the year 2035, 10% of all protein will be from plant-based. Creates a $290 billion market. The key drivers for growth: health and nutrition, sustainability, food security, and sovereignty. We've heard some of this being spoken before from some of the other guests. Health and nutrition, consumers through COVID really changed a lot of their eating habits, and consumers are wanting to cite where they're getting their healthy foods from. Sustainability, this is a big, big one. My company has a net zero policy, and we're going to be carbon negative, and it's growing. So consumers are wanting to choose more sustainably processed foods, basically from the normal agricultural-based animal foods. Food security and sovereignty, alternative proteins are developing a diverse and local supply of proteins in our country, and we're wanting to go global with that. That will help us in Canada have sovereignty, and as we partner with countries such as South Korea, we're hoping to create their sovereignty even stronger. There's three types of technologies in the plant proteins, in the protein technologies: alternative, cultivated, that's when they grow it in a lab; plant-based, when we take it from the ground from a crop and we take it out of there; or fermented. So those are the three top contenders right now. Plant-based is the longest. Well, probably fermentation is the longest. Plant-based has a few challenges in it, but that is the key one that we're going to be talking about today. Some of the key challenges: why hasn't it taken off and Canada wants to attack it? Quality, capacity, and price. The king of all tastes, the king of everything is taste with consumers. If it doesn't taste good, they don't pass a second moment of truth. 74% of all plant-based products that hit the shelves fail because they don't taste very good. So we have to attack the quality. Taste, texture, variety, nutrition. It has to appeal to the consumer. Capacity, we have to have the scalability to meet the demand. Well, Canada, we grow a lot of crops, varying kinds. We have well over 120 million metric tons of peas grown a year, and we sell 95% of those for animal feed outside of Canada. Price, consumers are demanding some price parity. Right now, you can buy a burger in our restaurants, and it costs you about $6, but a plant-based burger is going to cost you $14. That is a huge price difference, and consumers are demanding for that to go down. So those are some of the key challenges that Canada is willing to take on. Canada's solution, as I've mentioned, we have agricultural capacity. As far as the eye can see, we don't see people, we see crops. R&D experience, we have a lot of R&D experience because of all of those crops, and it's from coast to coast, from New Brunswick all the way to Vancouver. It is throughout. In the prairie provinces where we are, we call it the heart, the basket of the world. And we have all the universities have R&D facilities, the government funds these. They're very intense. Government support. I heard today at the beginning how much government support that South Korea has given and how you want to create this food center. And I applaud it, it's great. Where we live, we have what we call the agricultural food corridor. And we have industrial plants, 120 food processing facilities where I live. And the government support is exceptional, and it helps us be able to push forward a new challenge like plant proteins. The other three here are innovative networks. These networks we have internal to Canada, and making partnerships with South Korea and other countries is very, very key. So again, like with Denmark, my company is working with Denmark on a couple of key technologies, bringing those in-house. They aren't anywhere in the world, and we need to be able to work together. I always say to to my team, we're in this together, and we're in this together globally. So helping those innovative networks grow through conferences like this are great. Sustainably focused, Canada has, I don't know this for sure, but I would probably bet one of the highest taxes on carbon tax. And within the next 10 years, it's going to be $170 a ton. So right now it's at 40, and it's going to go up to 170. And that is to really put pressure on industry to change the way we behave. And I'm telling you, it is changing the way we behave. Market and regulatory aspect. One thing in Canada, we do have a very transparent regulatory process there. It isn't that difficult. You can work directly with government, and they can clear obstacles out of the way. So with these 6 solutions, Canada believes we can be a leader in the plant-based area. We also have history, pioneers in the plant proteins. These are 4 large companies that started off as entrepreneurs. In 1980, there's a company that reached about $15 million in revenue in 2022 and was acquired for $125 million. Vega Protein, I did ask while I've been here if anybody has heard of it. They haven't heard of it. It's one of the largest plant-based protein shakes that people drink as ready-made drinks, after you add water, of course. They reached $100 million and sold for $550 million. Gardein, I know the owner of Gardein. He was one of the very first ones to put it on the shelf. They reached 65 and sold for $154 million. Dea, they reached 80 million and sold for 325. And they sold, I believe it was to a Japanese company. So most of these companies actually have been purchased by international companies, not from within Canada. So 4 very big ones that have taken the world stage. We want to expand our ecosystem though. Investment activity has increased over the last couple of years. Infrastructure, the government is putting in billions of dollars to increase infrastructure. If you don't have the infrastructure, you will grow the crops and we'll continue to sell them. We won't be able to make them at home. 3, I actually, when I was researching this, the second and third plant-based IPOs were from Canada. So that shows that we have the growth there and the mindset to be able to grow our plant-based culture. Acquisitions, there is several acquisitions going on, internal, and this is some of the roadmap in Canada that's happening right now. And every single one of these companies used to be individual, and now they're starting to combine, which shows that they see the force of strength when they're all together. So this is my company, PIP International. PIP stands for Protein Isolate Plant, but that is way too long, especially if you say Protein Isolate Plant International. So we shortened that down to PIP. And our tagline's a protein like no other, because we believe we have a protein like no other. We're an ag-tech company. We use technology almost to tackle every single problem. We have found a new technology that presents a great tasting, sustainably processed high-functioning pea protein. So if anybody has ever tasted pea protein, it's a little bit bitter and it's not the most enjoyable. Our protein now has no odor. It is just, it's a neutral taste. It doesn't have any bitter taste. Therefore, manufacturers can use it, and it's high-functioning. We take our proteins out first. Everybody else takes the starch and fiber out. So we've kind of flipped the technology on its head. What's really unique and distinctive about us, we'll just go through this real quick. Where we picked, our location, our technology, we've made it affordable. If you remember, I said that we need to do price parity, and we are sustainable. I cut my teeth, is what I call it. I got a lot of experience from PepsiCo Foods in my early years, and their net zero policy is astounding, and I have developed a lot of that mindset, but we want to do it from the beginning, not in 10 years, hey, we'll go find some more money, and now we'll do it better. We're going to do it from the beginning. So why Alberta? Yes, I was born and raised in Alberta, so I might know some of the back roads and might know some of the advantages there, but the abundant supply of pulses. So our technology can actually pull the protein out of peas, chickpeas, faba beans. We're focusing on yellow peas right now because it is so readily abundant and it is an environmental steward. Alberta's sustainable producer of peas. We produced, this one says in 2021, 900,000 metric ton. We actually did 1.2 million last year. Our lovely neighbors next door, Saskatchewan, they did 47 million. So they outgrow us significantly, but they're our neighbors, and PIP has actually secured 440,000 acres of growing land acres of land in Saskatchewan. Combined with our regional activity, that's where we're going to get our peas from. So Alberta has a robust agri-processing industry. Like I mentioned, we have 120 food processing facilities right where I live in Lethbridge, Alberta. We're south of Calgary. So if anybody's heard of Banff, we're about 2.5 hours south of Banff. And that's just in that area. The rest of the province, we probably double that with another 120. We're the second largest GDP in all of Canada is manufacturing and food. Food manufacturing in Canada, by sales in Western Canada, is Alberta. Our food manufacturing sales are more than double BC. BC has a very strong fruit in the Okanagan because they're on the west side of the mountains. So it's very beautiful and never gets minus 40 degrees like it does where we live. And then it kind of goes downhill from there. Saskatchewan, they don't do value added, they don't manufacture, they grow the crops and sell them. And same as Manitoba. So strong-based food, R&D capabilities, I could talk about this one for forever. These are just some of the top 5. We do AI. We have an institute that just works on that. Olds College is a very, very strong college. All they do is ag. They have a smart farm platform. The platform in Calgary and Edmonton, they both work together, the 2 big cities, and they support a lot of startups. Alberta Innovates is another government program, and they're all about clean tech and innovation. And then the Rainforest of Alberta, because we are part of the big forest that people want to protect. And so they've integrated that into the ag. So the reason why I believe that Lethbridge location in Alberta is a key advantage is infrastructure. Alberta has placed a lot of money and emphasis on infrastructure. So I purchased land there, and it already has the power, the water, the wastewater, the natural gas. It's already done. All I had to do was buy the land. The raw supply, I'm going to need 130,000 metric ton when we build the large facility, and it's within 150 kilometers of where the plant is. Cost and the investment, like I said, I bought heavy industrial land. I paid 194,000 Canadian for an acre. I bought 20 acres. I go 2 hours north to Calgary, and that's 550,000 Canadian an acre, and it's not serviced. So a very good price advantage. The labor, because of the 120 food plants in the area, we have highest skilled labor force in the area. Market access, if you see the red dot there, I think they said that I can have the little dot right there. Right below us, that's the United States. So it's 45 minutes to get it across the border, and we have many rail lines. If we go to the west, going that way, We get past Vancouver, so it's very easy to get to the ports. Innovation environment. Alberta is one of the leading innovation governments that will spend money, and they don't pick winners and losers. They will help whoever it is there to help innovate. So PIP's technology has had a little bit of a journey already. In 2019, I found a lab-scale technology in France that had not been commercialized, and they couldn't find anybody to commercialize it. So I said, sure, I'll do that. I'd done that for PepsiCo for quite a few years, and it's a little bit more difficult than I had planned. But in 2021, I purchased an old craft brewery, and that brewery is about 20,000 square feet, and it could process 5,000 metric tons, and we have commissioned. We're currently shut down right now because we are fully automating, hence a conversation I want to have after this with someone, because there's some key innovations that we need to layer in there, and this is the place that we want to prove it before we launch to the industrial scale plant of 126,000 metric tons. So we've purchased the land. It's about 4 kilometers away from our small plant there, and we have the engineering done and the net zero and carbon negative plan already completed. So we will be in the ground at the end of this year building the large facility. So technology solutions, although we have the problems in the bigger sense, you have the technology solutions you have to have in the small sense, quality, capacity, and price again. So although those are Canada's, those are also come all the way down to our level. So we have solved the taste, texture, and been able to provide a pea protein that people can use in anything. We've made fudge, a vegan fudge, we have ice cream, we have bread. We hosted a delegate from South Korea in October of last year, and we made them pea protein pizza dough, and they used our pizza dough oven, and they made their own pizzas from pea protein pizza dough. So we passed this with flying colors. We've done taste tests, and I think we've solved this one. I know we have. Capacity, scalability to meet demand, hence why we're doing our pilot facility first and then going to our industrial scale. We have to remove the risk, and scaling up from bench scale, we needed to do a very big step in the middle. Price parity with traditional choices. This is where I believe net zero and carbon negative come in, and most people I have spoken to have said, but it costs more money, and we are using innovation to get that down. We have, in the industry, it's about $5 a kg cost to make pea protein, unless it's in China, and we've been able to get it under that by using our green technologies. So, as I mentioned, our protein is called UP. It's called the Ultimate Pea Protein, and we tell our customers they're going to level up. It's a little spin on the word. And we have done the taste, texture, functionality. Functionality I want to talk about for a second. It has a high solubility. So as the old technologies, they pull the starch and fiber out first of the pea. Then you have the protein left over in their waste stream. The protein is damaged. Therefore, it's not soluble. It's oxidized. It's yellow. It's bitter. And because we pull ours out first, it's very close to its natural state. I often refer to it as it looks like a ping pong ball versus a beat-up golf ball. Ours looks like a ping pong ball, and the old technology is like a beat-up golf ball. And every dent carries an anti-nutrient or a damage, and no matter how much you wash that golf ball, it's still going to look beat up and damaged, but the ping pong ball doesn't. And nutrition, not sure how many understand how much, so the yellow pea has a complete amino acid profile. I did find out from the United Nations that when you combine it with rice, it's a complete meal, and that's pretty exciting. You could actually feed the world with our pea protein and rice. So that's an interesting thought there. So when we go into solubility, we just have some pictures there. On the right there, you have A, B, and C. A and B are the 2 top leaders in the industry right now. We have our logo there on C. That's ours. That's after 2 weeks being out, being mixed, and ours does not settle out. So it can go into beverages. It can boost the protein level of all the plant-based protein or the plant-based milks out there because they're heavy sugar and carbohydrate loaded, and they need to add protein to meet parity with their dairy counterparts. So then usually what happens when you add plant-based protein to anything, once you get 2 or 3% in there, it binds and it won't do anything. You can't make it into anything. We've got in 10% and contained our texture, and you can see 3 there, A and B. They didn't even get over 3%. Ours got up to 10%. It's still smooth and runny, and that's what the scientists need to see when they're trying to make iconic brands plant-based from the traditional way. So that is our product advantage. Affordability, the advantage here is pretty exciting. I could go on about this for a long time, but we're using cutting-edge technologies from around the world and from different industries. We have a technology from the pharmaceutical industry that we picked up from Denmark, and it's cutting $17 million out of our big plant, and it will save me about $4.5 million a year using it. That's an example of some of the things we're doing. Lowering operational costs. We have found a green thermal technology that is going to, in any food processing, it's the heat demand. We are able to take solar and wind and not convert it to AC power and put it into our battery, and it holds for 13 hours, and it discharges as steam or hot water. We could turn it into power if we needed to with a generator, but that suite of wind, thermal, and solar, we are able to meet net zero. Our pilot facility, in about 9 months, we're situated around a few hotels. We're going to be able to provide them heat for their swimming pools because our thermal energy works so well. We have so much over that we're going to be able to supply them with that. So the government's helping us demonstrate that, and it is a technology that can be used in any industry. If you have a thermal demand, power heat, it can be used anywhere. It could do large sky rises. It also does air conditioning as well. So those are technologies that we have borrowed from other industries, and we're going to prove it in the food industry and do it better. This is just 2 pictures of our proteins, and we have our main proteins, globulins, and our albumins. Those are very, very unique, and these albumins go into cosmetics as well. We just got our samples back about 4 weeks ago, and I've been showing them off here in Korea, and they seem to get even more attention than the food. So that's pretty exciting because we don't have too many of them, and I need to find them a good home. So back to the clean tech and innovative design at our food plant. We have on-site solar, so many people, many companies will, what they say is greenwash. They'll buy an offshore wind farm somewhere, and then they buy those credits to say that they are now green. What our policy is we do it on-site as much as we can. And what we're doing, and we have the blessing of having a lot of land, but we have found a way to really bring that down. We have a wind technology that does 7 kilowatts for a little tiny turbine, which is equating to about 15 solar panels. So with all of these things here, we're going to be able to bring the cost of our product way down to meet the lowest in the industry of the cost, which will allow it to penetrate and get into the market. The last thing here is our water ecosystem. In our product, one of the things we had to do is you can't do everything with just trying to change, giving it more power by green. You have to change the way you make the product. And we use 1/3 the less water, at least, and we have some advanced water technologies that allow reduced time inside the facility, and so we have a less demand on the resources. So I hope you guys can see that we have our process and our product innovations and how we work together to bring to the market a truly green net zero plant-based protein that can, what we want to do, we want to feed the world with the Canadian crops with it. So if anybody has any questions, you guys can get in touch. I think my information's inside the pamphlet there that they have. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation, Ms. Kristen Lewington from PEEP International. Thank you for providing us with detailed insights into innovative technologies for plant protein product. Thank you once again, and now we will have our second presentation of this session. Moving on to our next speaker, now we will have Ms. Jung Ji-won, Director at Cheiljedang, and she will be delivering her presentation on the topic of development of raw materials for food processing. So now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome her with a big round of applause.
Hi everyone, my name is Jung Ji-won from CJ Cheiljedang Food R&D Institute. So I can't see well, but this global international forum publishes global risk reports every year, and before this conference I looked at the 2023 report, and when you look at this report, as you can see on the screen, so in 2 years or in 10 years, so there's a list of risks for short-term and long-term period. So most of them are natural disasters or extreme weather event or climate change, policy failure. So most of them are related to environment, and they are top-ranking risks. Food industry is in fact is actually the largest purchaser of agricultural goods. So in relation to climate change, actually these events can have a devastating effect on food industry. So in 2015, I looked at the data of 2015, and back then already food companies, 82% of food companies globally had to think of strategies in order to secure enough ingredients. And the most general form is to work with producers, like creating partnerships with local producers in order to secure ingredients, like Kellogg and other world companies work directly with rice producers based on these partnerships. And when you look at processed foods, the ingredients are just 40% or 50% of the final price. So the increase of the raw material price takes about 6 months to be fully incorporated into the final price. And let's say that there's bean produced in Korea and there's other beans produced in other countries. So the price gap is about 5-fold. Then tofu, which is the final product of bean, then the price gap is about 2-fold when it reaches the final product. So in 2011, CRAE, the organization in Korea, published the report, and when you look at the report, certain company's price, when the price goes up, then 50% of consumers use a different product because of the price increase. So even though the price increase is about like 5 to 10%, consumers move and consumers find another product. So they are not less obsessed with a particular brand. They are more sensitive toward the price itself. So my company pays a lot of attention to the cost of the raw materials and ingredients. Because of these reasons, unexpectedly, the food company is starting to develop seeds. So I'm going to share CJ's cases of seed development. So seeds are the foundation of agriculture. And today, where the world is changing rapidly, it's very difficult to accurately predict the production or the yield. So in order to secure ingredients stably, we look at creating or developing seeds.
일어나고 있습니다. 보통의 종자 개발 그러면
So when we talk about seed development, you may think that it is usually done by seed companies. And I overheard people today talking about why CJ is interested in seed development. But actually, there are a lot of cases where food companies are into seed development. For example, in Nestle, they are developing coffee bean seeds. So they have their own seeds. And in 2021, they were able to develop a new coffee bean seed that can produce high yield. And the second case belongs to Oseolok of Korea. It's a spin-off company of Amore Pacific, and it sells green tea products. And as you can see on the screen, aminosan or catechin. So they created or they developed seeds that contain higher content of amino acids and catechin. And another case is utilizing new genetic technology. So a company called Calyxt, it's a US-based company, and they use beans and they developed seeds that contain high oleic soybean content. And they had a B2B business model, and they came up with a new editing technology. And due to various reasons, they had to stop production. And Penn State University also looked at how they can improve mushroom. When you use mushrooms, you can see that mushrooms color changes easily. And they developed a new mushroom seed to resist browning, so color changing of the mushroom. And for food companies, these attempts can be problematic when using these ingredients. So these technologies can be used to develop seeds going forward, and I believe this will give us a good drive toward in the future, because it can solve some of the problems that we are facing in the industry. So developing new seeds in the long term can contribute to stable, securing procurement of ingredients. But other than that, most directly, it can actually have an impact on the cost and differentiation. So cost competitiveness and differentiation. As I said before, because a lot of food companies are sensitive to the cost and the price, seed development has become an important part of our business. So here we've spent 4 to 5 years to develop the seed of the rice. So we scaled it up and we are running some tests. And compared to the previous seed, it can have 20% higher yield. And CJ developed this high yield seed. Then CJ shared that higher yield with partners. So we have introduced this win-win project. So there's about 10% price merit benefit. And per kilogram, it could be like a few won, like 20 to 30 Korean won less, like decreased per kilogram. Let's say that we use 50,000 kilograms of the seed, then you can see that this decrease of price can have a huge impact overall. So we are carrying out these projects currently, and here you see purple rice. I'm not sure you're familiar, but purple rice is rarely used compared to white rice, and production is limited in Korea as a result, and distribution is limited, and the price is 4 times higher compared to white rice. And because the production is limited, we hope to procure stable supply of purple rice. So there's been an issue in securing this type of rice. So we started developing the purple rice seed, and here you can see CJ's new seed, and you can see it's the height is longer compared to previous product, and you can see there's more rice, and it means that there's 20% higher yield. So there are more grains on the stem, and you can see anthocyanin content that affects color of the rice is 5 times higher than the previous seed. So it makes a difference when we create rice product. Even when we use the same amount of rice for these products, you can see the color change is great. So by developing a new seed, we can improve the quality of the product. And the third case, this is actually an old case of ours. CJ has been partnering with a vendor to get supplies of bean sprouts. So it was an OEM contract, and the previous speaker showed us great fields of Canada, but in Korea the fields are limited, so there's no automation in the field, and it's very difficult to use automated system in the field, and there are a lot of rocks in the field when it comes to Jeju Island, and people had to manually reap the grains, and the labor cost was increasing gradually, and it was difficult to find workers, and as a result the price of bean sprout ingredient was going up, and that is how we decided to develop a new seed for bean sprouts. The first objective was to increase the length of the stem so that we can use machines and cut the bean sprouts easily. So that was our objective when developing the seed. And it took a lot of time, and from 2016 and onward, we were able to develop the seed, and we were able to utilize this new bean sprout. And a lot of companies are partnering with us on this. And I'm sure you all know sesame. Sesame is used to extract sesame seed, and in foreign countries they also use sesame on top of the hamburgers. So this sesame, actually the price fluctuation is quite high. And when harvesting the sesame, it's a manual operation in Korea and in other countries as well. I'm not sure you can see this well. On the top, you'll see sesame. Beans, shell peas, but when it matures, it pops up, and it means that there's loss of sesame grains. So that is why we couldn't able to use machines. So we developed a seed where the shell does not pop up. So we ran some tests, and it's not commercialized yet, but based on the result of the test, about 28% cost reduction is possible.
이런 것들을 계속 현장에서 적용하는
So we try to apply these
이런 것뿐만 아니라
updates and changes on the field. And not just that, when we look at the cabbage, we were looking for room for improvement to increase quality. We also developed a new seed that has higher lycopene in the cabbage. It's not just us. We have to partner with farmers, consumers, breeders, universities, and government. We have to come together. And these cases were made possible thanks to our partnership with all these partners. When we develop seeds, many people think that breeders and professional companies can do this, but based on my 10-year experience, food companies are actually related to many other partners. Compared to other businesses, we understand the need of the field and of the consumers and what research is being done. So the food companies have all this kind of information. So food companies are well positioned to do this. So this is the last part. As you know, K-food and K-culture is sweeping around the world, and a lot of products are being used globally. And CJ also has Bibigo, the product of dumpling products, which are popular around the globe. But in the long term, from the perspective of the food company, I think plants that we usually use in Korean food, like horseradish, because Korean food uses a lot of plants, I see more potential there. And these plants, they are different from salads and other plants used in Western dishes. It's difficult to standardize them. It's difficult to detect foreign substances from these plants. So there's been a lot of failures in our attempts to standardize this type of plant. And let's say there's kimchi and we use a lot of chili powder, right, to make kimchi. And chili powder is of course based on peppers and chilies. Even though kimchi is a representative Korean food, but Korea's self-sufficiency and supply of pepper is less than 50%. I know there are a lot of cases like this, and these are just representative cases. So in order to go hand in hand with K-culture and Korean wave in the globe, there are some challenges that we have to overcome. It's not just seed development that is needed. I know that all of you are involved in this industry, so please pay attention to this issue, and I think we should cooperate. We have to work together to overcome these hurdles. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jung Ji-won. Thank you for sharing your knowledge on leading research in the development of new seed varieties and securing the competitiveness of the food industry as well. And as we did before, we'll now open up the floor. As you can see on the stage, we are joined by two presenters. If you have any question, please let us know. Yes, please.
예, 안녕하세요. Yes, hello. This is CEO of VNG Life, one of the venture company in the food cluster. And this question is directed to Ms. Lewington. Thank you for sharing innovative cases on bean protein and pea protein for food sustainability. And I imagine that these pea proteins can be really tasteful. And does PEEP have any plan to expand your business to other alternative protein?
To Ms. Lewington, so I would like to give you English interpretation. So innovative examples were really impressive for our audience. And the question is, does PEEP have any plans to expand to other foods besides beans?
So does it have any, say that again, sorry.
Any plans to expand?
Oh, absolutely. So we look like we're going to be able to build 5 facilities globally in the world. So we're calling it 5 and 3 as soon as we get the first one up and running. So we definitely want to expand.
Thank you very much for that possibility. I hope that's enough for you. And if we have one more, I would like to have one more from the floor. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Antesa from Green Road. I have a question for Jung Jae-won from CJ. So I want to hear, I know that food company is interested in seed development, and thank you for your presentation. What do you think about region-based ingredient and eco-friendly ingredient? What do you think about the trend and outlook? Thank you for your question. This is an extremely difficult question. So you are asking about eco-friendliness, and before that there was organic seed, and before that there was native ingredient. So these are the development of food trend, and now let's say that we try to explain how this is good because it's native to Korean and this is eco-friendly, but they have to meet the price level that our consumers want. Let's say that bean sprouts, they are cheap ones compared to other items, but even if there's a price increase by 100 Korean won, that's very low price increase, but consumers react differently. They're very sensitive to price changes. So we try to use eco-friendly ingredients, but every time we have to make sure that there's cost competitiveness. And in the future, now there's less concept of native ingredient and local ingredient because consumers want cheaper products. I know there's global audience here from Canada. I know that we have to use global ingredients nowadays. That's a trend that we cannot avoid. And about Korean food, if there's any potential for premium product, I know that there is a need for premium products, so we try to focus on that.
Thank you very much. Due to limited time, we will conclude the Q&A session right here. And ladies and gentlemen, let's give another big round of applause to 2 presenters.